We're visiting with the head coach of the Wrestling Dragons, Phillip Limb, as they get ready for the state tournament in Columbia. 9 wrestlers qualified to state. We talked about it earlier. It's great that you've got this many kids going. Let's talk a little bit about the matchups. They've already been announced. And what's your first impression of how some of the kids were matched up against opponents down there?
You know, there's some teams you just never really know what to expect. The east side of the state, we don't really see that much. Harrisonville tournament, there's a few teams that come from that side of the state, but you just never really know what to expect. But I feel like, you know, kind of where I got a mixture of bad versus good draws. So we just have to go down and wrestle and take care of business. So.
There's one kid I'm sure that you're feeling pretty confident, and that's Trevor Burkhart. He's been to the final his freshman and sophomore seasons, had a little bit of a burp, I guess, for lack of a better term, at the districts. But Trevor's got all the tools, and I'm sure you're expecting him to get back to the final.
Yeah, we are. I mean, he probably was one of the ones that got one of the draws that you kind of think, man, right off the get-go, he's got a kid. The first round's pretty tough, but, you know, he's been there. He's had the experience. He's came through before when we kind of doubted a little bit. So hopefully he'll be ready to wrestle, and he's always performed well, you know, at the state event. So we're expecting big things from him. So.
Okay. Another kid I think that has had a pretty good season is Justin Gans. And I don't know what you think about Justin's chances, but district champion, I mean, you got to feel good about how he's been wrestling lately to get to this point.
Yeah, and you know, I was just thinking about that the other day. I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure that since he's been down at 113, he hasn't lost either. So dropping that weight and getting down to the next weight class has really helped him, and it's going to obviously drastically improve his chances of the medal being there. So I think he's got a good shot at getting the semifinals and maybe beyond. So he's wrestling really well, and he's a scary kid to be wrestling this time of year. So.
All right, and then you've got a couple of other guys that have some experience at state. Marshall Colson, and a couple of years ago, Nathan Neal got to state. And so having that experience of being in that environment certainly has got to help those two guys.
Yep, I mean, Neal a couple years ago was a match, actually a point away from medaling, so he's been there, he's got the experience, he's a tough kid. I like his chances, the draw he got, so he's got a tough bracket, but I like where he's sitting. Marshall, you know, I think he got probably one of the better draws he could have asked for coming out with the third. He's just got to wrestle to his ability to where he can wrestle, and you know, his chances are good if he wins his first 2. So.
And another guy that's going back to state is Kyle Anderson. What do you think of Kyle's situation?
145 is so tough. I mean, our district was probably the toughest district overall, in my opinion. But it's such a tough weight class. I think that coming out with a 4th, you're usually scared, but I think we got a pretty favorable draw with a kid out of St. Genevieve. It won't be easy, but I think it's doable for Kyle. So.
Okay, and then you have the 4 rookies, if you will. Caleb Shanks, along with Ty Pratt, Colt Banks, and Colby Gerber. And so tell us a little bit about what you think those guys will be able to do.
You know, Ty has got the #1 ranked kid in the state the first round.
Oh, joy.
A tough match, but regardless, he's just got to go out and wrestle. I think he's got the potential to medal. He's got the capability. Caleb Shanks, he's got a tough cut to get-go, but you know, he's really wrestling well. I mean, the district tournament was kind of a hiccup for him, but he's wrestling well right now. And I personally, coming from another coach, I wouldn't want to see him right now because he's a tough kid. I think his chances of medaling are pretty good, regardless whether he wins the first couple or not. And let's see,
then you have Colt Banks.
Colt Banks, you know. Our district probably drew the toughest heavyweight district, but, you know, hopefully we can go out and win the first match for him. And you just never know with Colt because he's got that capability, that factor, you know, where he can be losing and pin somebody. So hopefully he can, you know, build upon it this year, getting down there and not just settle. Colby, you know, he so undersized. About 40 pounds lighter than most people. I mean, he's just on the bare minimum of 220, but I think the experience is going to be good. You just never know because he's a fighter, so he'll fight till the end, and hopefully he can go out there and get a win for us.
All right, well, it's a great group, a lot of experience, and I know you've mentioned this before, but the thing that makes Phillip Limb happier is the fact that 8 of these wrestlers going to state are underclassmen. So the future certainly looks bright no matter what happens this weekend.
Yes, I mean, obviously you try to focus on this year. I know this year our sights are set on a state trophy, but obviously the next year or two will look pretty bright, and if we can keep the pieces together, keep kids the right weights, things look good. So.
All right, well, good luck in Columbia. We look forward to visiting with you during the tournament, and hope everything comes out the way we hope it does.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Phillip Limb, coach of the Wrestling Dragons.